Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms chats that we've been going live to help families get the information they need to keep their kids learning in spite of all the disruptions of the pandemic and all the changes. And so our discussion today is geared more towards if you have maybe an 8th or 9th grader, or if you're thinking ahead about high school and college. We're talking about early college high schools, and our guests today are Mr. Alfredo Segura, and he is the CEO of New Frontiers Public Schools, and that which is a charter school network here in San Antonio. And we also have Dr. Robert Vela, who is the president of San Antonio College, which is part of the Alamo College's system. It's ranked the #1 community college in the nation. It's also one of the biggest community colleges around, and so they have lots of good news to share. But specifically today, we're going to talk about the early college high school programs that are a partnership between New Frontiers Public Schools and colleges in the Alamo Colleges district. So the Frank L. Madla Early College High School has been up and running for a few years. They've already graduated a strong set of students, but there's a new early college high school on the horizon, and that's what especially we're going to focus on today. So that's the Imelda Davis Early College High School. So in a nutshell, that's what we're going to talk about. Thank you guys both for being on Charter Moms Chats.
Thank you, Ms. Inga. Really appreciate that.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So the first question I'm going to send out to Mr. Segura, just to tell us more about New Frontiers Public Schools. Like, what is the mission? What's the vision you guys are trying to create?
Absolutely. Before I do that, since we have a little more time, I just want to take the opportunity to thank Dr. Robert Vela, who is the president of San Antonio College, and obviously for him taking his time out of his very busy schedule. I know they're doing some wonderful things out there. I'm pretty sure he's going to tell us a little bit about that, but just the amazing work that they're doing with the community. And I'd be remiss if I don't thank publicly also Dr. Mike Flores, who is the chancellor of Alamo Community College. We have had the distinct honor of being the partner for a while now, and looking forward to giving you more information about this new partnership with San Antonio College. So Dr. Vela, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. Going back to your question about the mission and vision, we, simply put, is that we want to provide a free access college to our students, regardless of the zip code. Sometimes barriers out there prevent, even in this day and age, and where their boundaries may lie. For us, we want to break those, or continue to break those barriers down, and provide that free access to college. And so, simply put, again, we believe that early college means early success. We have two sets of boundaries, Bexar County being our primary boundary, and then the extending outer of San Antonio goes to our secondary boundaries, such as Floresville, Divine, and other areas supporting that. The mission that we have is to make sure that it is a full immersion model. So while others may talk about we're preparing students for college, our kiddos are in students. Our kiddos are in the actual college. As far as our mission, we want to make sure that we also are a solution to make sure that our workforce is ready, which means that we need to kind of peel the onion and figure out where is the most careers that are in need and start developing that. So that is also our part of our mission and our vision moving forward. As far as who we are, it's important, I think, to know that New Frontiers is a community-based school. We're a free public charter district here in San Antonio. We've been here for over 20 years. You mentioned the Frank L. Madla Early College High School, which has been in operations for, I believe, 8 years, if my math and memory serve me right. And as you pointed out, we are poised to open the Imelda Davis Early College High School, obviously in partnership with San Antonio, next fall, believe it or not. So it is, I'm in pins and needles because that time is just right there. But also in addition to that, we are looking at opening an early college prep middle school near Palo Alto College as well. One of the important things I think to also mention of our vision is that our high school recently made the latest U.S. News and World Report in its annual ranking, making us the top 10 public charter high school in San Antonio and one of the best in the country. So we could not do this without the partnership of ACCD, obviously Palo Alto, and then of course, now looking forward to San Antonio College. So that's a little bit of, again, the mission, vision, the direction that we're heading. We want to be a partner with higher education, basically to develop our own workforce for the city and beyond.
Yeah, well, Mr. Segura, that's a great introduction about what New Frontiers is, and some folks may not have heard of it. I still come across people who ask basic questions about charter school, like what's the tuition? And I'm like, no, it's free. But thank you for the introduction. I'm going to switch. I'm going to put Dr. Vela on the big screen here and ask kind of a similar question about San Antonio College. I think that people may not be aware of just how strong a program San Antonio College is, what it's doing for students, and how it's developing the workforce in San Antonio. So can you tell us more about that?
Yes, no, thank you. I also want to thank Mr. Segura for his leadership and his commitment to his school and to what he's doing in the community. Obviously, we all have similar mindsets and similar values and about our community and how special this community is. And I am so looking forward to this partnership. I think it's going to be something fresh and special, highly relevant to the workforce needs in our community, and I think we're going to produce some outstanding role models for our community through our program here at San Antonio College in partnership with New Frontiers. But for San Antonio College, we're celebrating our 96 years of existence in this community, and obviously back in the day we were everything to everyone for a while, until we started to really see more colleges within the Alamo Colleges district, and and more amazing universities and partnerships throughout. We have a very vibrant higher ed community in San Antonio. We're very blessed that way. But for San Antonio College, we've helped build out these other schools like Palo Alto College and Northwest Vista College and Northeast Lakeview College. Every time these new schools would come, we would lose enrollment, right? And rightfully so, because the students that were in that area would stay within that school, which makes perfect sense. So we always struggled a little bit with trying to maintain enrollment, yet we were one of the biggest colleges in Texas. So, I think for us, our mission is to ensure that every student in our backyard now, it's a very focused backyard for San Antonio College, has access to a quality education, higher education. And it's beyond just an education. I think there's been a commitment from us centered around excellence, right? We believe that if we provide students a level of excellence in instruction, student services, everything that we do, they will begin to want it and demand it for themselves and their families. I think it's our obligation to do that. And so I told Mr. Segura that when we first talked about, we're very picky with partners simply because we want to be sure that our values are aligned and centered around excellence. So the more and more I spoke with him and his staff, the more and more it became very evident to me that we have similar values. We want to set the bar high for our community, because we know the higher we set it and the more engaged we are with our students, to get and meet those targets, they're going to be that much more prepared in our community. So that's the essence, I think, and the recipe for a tremendous partnership. So for SAC, it's always been about providing our students either a great base to move on to universities or a great professional technical education to get into some of these high demand, high wage fields, right? Like nursing, like IT, like education, like mortuary science, and all the things that we have that are very, very lucrative and very productive in our community. But one of the things that we're very proud of is that we're the best community college in Texas that provides students, once they graduate from SAC and they go on to senior universities, they are outperforming their own native students. We're graduating more students from universities than any other college in Texas, right? So That's a point of pride around rigor and quality that we have to ensure that our students are going to get through the finish line. So being named the best community college in the country by the premier Aspen Institute was something that we never envisioned. But what Mr. Segura and I do know is that our community deserves the best. They're great. It's a great community. You don't have to go away to get the best. You're going to get it right here in your backyard. And I think that's been our commitment from day one, is what can we do to ensure that students feel a sense of pride, they feel a sense of community around what we do. And the stakes are high for me and Mr. Segura, because we always need to look for the best and find a way to deliver. But he's got the right team. I've got the right team. And I think we're going to do something special for this community.
Yeah. Well, that really resonates with me, what you're saying about excellence, and that you want to treat the students well and have them also develop high expectations for everything in their lives. And, that education is a really important stepping stone for that.
I tell you, if the public that is listening, if I may, if that did not give you chills, what to, I've sat down with Dr. Vela and talked about this, but just hearing it once again and the great opportunities that are out there, and they're right here, as he mentioned, in our backyard, that just gives me chills to be a part of that. And he said it beautifully. We don't need to go anywhere but here in our backyard. We need to make sure that we're providing that excellence here. I'm going to go back to my roots and something that my mother told me. And she says, never let anybody tell you, ay, pobrecito de mijito, that, you can't do it for whatever reason, which means, oh, my dear son, hopefully, that you can't make it because you don't have access or whatever the case is. Those days are gone. And this is what we're trying to do for the community of San Antonio, because we do need to make sure that we're developing the workforce.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Segura, my next question is towards you. So I went ahead and put you on the big screen. What I want to ask about is what you all are already doing at the Madla Early College High School, which is the one that's in partnership with Palo Alto College. It's on the south side. And so tell us about the strengths of that program, because I feel like that gives people an indication of some of the things we can expect from the Imelda Davis Early College High School. That will be the partnership with SAC starting next fall. So tell us about Early College High School at New Frontiers.
So I'm going to broaden that with a broader scope on this, Inga, if I may, because I think we need to start from where this is coming to understand that model. So, for example, for New Frontiers, when we started these conversations many years ago, we also started looking at what the needs within the area. And so we decided to be part of the solution of that 60 by 20 plan. Actually, that's a Texas plan. For those of you that might not be familiar with that, that's a solution that whereby 2030, at least 60% of our Texans ages 25 through average 34 or something to that effect would have or will have a certificate or degree. So that onus should not only be in higher ed. I think that we deserve it to ourselves, as Dr. Vela was mentioning, to make sure that how do we come into partnership to be part of that solution. So when we started talking about this, we said that is a way that we can help, especially if you're looking at those 2+2 models that sometimes as educators we talk about. Those are right here. We just need to take advantage. Think about the concept of the Imelda Davis student that's coming in as a New Frontier student, then also as a San Antonio College student, and then even furthering that pathway, because we have the means to do this through an associate degree or certificate, and completing their degree in another program such as Texas A&M San Antonio or even UTSA. So I think starting there to understand the model of the behind the scenes. So all of that to say that our campus implementation model is a full college immersion model where all students in every grade receive a collegiate experience. And so what does that mean for us? So specifically talking about the high school, which obviously are 9th through 12th, this means that our students take high school classes and college classes at the same time. Yes, high school classes and college classes at the same time. These classes are taught by higher ed staff. In this case, it will be San Antonio College. And of course, the one that we're talking about that you asked was the Frank L. Madla Early College as well. And so our students are taking classes with traditional students and non-traditional. So think about the power of placement. If somebody's asking you, here is a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, and I know that can be a little frightening at first, you know, but think about the knowledge and, more important, the confidence that that child will have sitting down practically next to an adult, you know, if not an adult, right? And so we need to make sure that we're not always afraid of these particular mottos. And trust me, we do a lot of parenting classes to make sure. But the power of placement, you will see, and I encourage anybody who's listening to come and visit our model, because these students, by the spring of their freshman year, they come in as 8th graders, somewhat timid, not too sure about this particular model, but mom or dad told me I needed to go, right? Because I want a college experience. By the end of the 9th grade spring semester, they're looking at you into the eye without hesitation and telling you exactly what they're going to be, but more importantly and more impressively, how they're going to get there. And that, to me, is the difference in how our model works as compared to anybody else, because we are entrenched in the college experience by the power of placement.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're describing the full college immersion model. So the students, they're actually, they're New Frontiers Public School students, but they're also Alamo College's students, and they're sitting in college classes.
So I'll give you a little example on this. So we had a student that was, because they're college kid at the Frank L. Madla, actually had a star role in one of the plays that they had at the college. Nobody knew that this kid was a high school kid. It wasn't until all of a sudden his whole familia was there that they were looking back and saying, oh, this must be a high school kid. So that's what I'm talking about, the full immersion.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, well, so the question I have for Dr. Vela is about this partnerships that, right? So Mr. Segura has been talking about how, this partnership between New Frontiers and Elmo Colleges allows students to get a high school experience, but also get a college experience, right? So they have counseling and like academic counseling and things like, through New Frontiers. So I was wondering if you could talk about like the strengths of having partnerships with folks like New Frontiers and how that benefits students.
So yeah, that's a great question, and I know I've mentioned this to Mr. Segura in our discussions early on. We have a proven track record at SAC in our relationship with Travis Early College High School, right? Because that was a proof of concept for us that we spent a lot of time perfecting, and actually the school won a National Blue Ribbon Award, maybe about 3 years ago. But the power is the collaboration between faculty, the co-creation of ensuring that the rigor is in the curriculum between high school and college faculty, and making sure that there's alignment to the TEKS, there's alignment to our student learning outcomes, which are then our marketable skills, where students can articulate those specific skills to employers or to universities that they possess, and that they can demonstrate through artifacts that they've produced at the college. So I think it's important that partnership and that collaboration is strong, and it's a lot better when they are physically here rather than us going somewhere else. So I know that Mr. Segura is very passionate about that immersion, right? Being in the classes with our non-traditional students, with our international students, with our veteran students, there is something to say as an educator about the learning environment when you surround yourself with people that aren't thinking like you, that don't come from the same background. That it's a natural laboratory for learning and experimenting with different thoughts, different lenses, different cultures, different mindsets, right? That's the beauty of learning. See, I think to me, that's the head start that we're giving students, because students at that age are ready for that. But it takes these innovative models to ensure that students have a means by which they can experience that type of learning. So sometimes we say, well, they're too young, or maybe no, they're ready. They want to be challenged. They want, So I think for us, it was a proof of concept. Now we're in a mode that we're selecting the right partners, like Mr. Segura's school, to figure out how can we now take this and apply it to some of the more challenging areas, like nursing, the field of nursing, which is very complex, the field of IT, IT, we are a center of excellence for cybersecurity, as deemed by the US government. So that's a point of pride and rigor and excellence that we have. Nursing, we just acquired the Bachelor of Science in Nursing. We've had a nursing program for over 50 years, an amazing track record in this community for producing amazing nurses. So think of a student that comes in through this high school, gets all the way through towards the end. They're right there to obtain their RN, ADN program. And then right after that, once they graduate from the school and they graduate from SAC, they onboard the BSN program, and they're BSNs within 18 months without any debt, really. I mean, you're talking about BSN debt right now at $40,000, $50,000 for students out there. This is transformational. This is transformational for communities that aren't going to worry about getting into debt. But what we're going to assure is that they're going to get the rigor, the quality that they need to truly have an impact in this community. And can you imagine, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We need the brightest and the best out there helping our community. So it's like Mr. Segura says, it brings chills to us as educators, because we know what the potential is for this partnership.
Yeah, when you mentioned IT and cybersecurity, that there's so much remote work going on, and every time there's a remote worker, they need a good IT team to support them and make sure that it's still working.
That's right.
Yeah, and I guess one of the other pathways at the Imelda Davis Early College High School will be education. So I was wondering if actually I'm going to split the screen again. So if y'all could kind of both comment on, but I want to hear from Dr. Vela first about the education pathway, but I want you guys to both comment on like what the pathways are at Imelda Davis and how that's meant to work.
So those are the major areas, right? IT, nursing, and of course education. We have our own early childhood lab here. We are just about, I would say within 12 months, to have a state-of-the-art early childhood center that we're going to grow outside of their traditional 8 to 3 and expand it to more age groups, right? We've got to stay within the structure right now because we're nationally accredited, and that's okay for the little ones. But outside of that, we're going to be able to expand that center to bring in more of a boys and girls club model, to do specific programming and education, not just around the cognitive aspect, but the affective domain, to get students more well-rounded. Well, those students are going to be in a perfect position to use this center as a living learning lab where we can embed capstones in their education courses, and they can actually practice it right here at the college. They don't have to go anywhere else because the lab is here. Mr. Segura, I know we've been talking about all this, and I think it's we get excited that it's just around the corner now.
Yeah, it is. Again, I'd like to say it gives me chills because as far as what features will we be kind of building to this program, I think Dr. Vela said it perfectly. The power of having this type of relationship is that we can create those laboratory environments for students. And when we're talking about students, we're not just talking about maybe high school kids or traditional college kids, but then think about the pathways. For example, let's talk about an educator, right? So we can work with other universities to have their juniors and seniors that are getting ready to graduate with a teaching certificate, that they can come in and see these type of models, thus the laboratory concept, as well as something like we've been talking about with cybersecurity and those pathways, that perhaps even some of the things, and it's very, very early in the stages, that we've been looking at perhaps maybe an AM, PM type of schedule, where we're providing, especially for juniors and seniors, opportunities for them to go out to the workforce. Opportunities that perhaps may not have been there, 5, 10 years ago. But now, with the way that things are structured, that these students can come in either in the morning to go to school and then go to their internship in the afternoon. And now we're providing those laboratory settings for them to learn hands-on what it's going to be in the industry. Think about how many times perhaps maybe us or you and I that we thought, oh well, we might want to be an accountant, and then I took my first class of accounting and I said, I don't think this was for me, and so it allows for opportunities for the community. So, to concentrate in these areas such as, again, nursing, teacher certification, cybersecurity. These are very powerful, but I think the beauty of this program is to provide those laboratory opportunities.
So I know that Dr. Vela has a hard stop. He needs to jump into another meeting, but I want to thank you very, very much for joining us. And it wouldn't have been the same conversation without you. So I really appreciate hearing about San Antonio College from you. And I can tell the chills, the excitement about Imelda Davis Early College High School.
No doubt. Thank you, Inga, for the opportunity to be here. Thank you, Mr. Segura, for being a valued friend and partner. So I look forward to the invitation to come back and speak about all the wonderful things that we're going to continue to do at some point. But thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you, Dr. Okay. It's always a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, but I have more questions for you, Mr. Segura.
Yeah,
so if you have a few more minutes.
You have somewhat of a stop as well. So, but
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, so before we end it, before we end the session, I want to make sure that we're explaining to folks how to get more information. But if you have time, could you share like a few more like success stories that you mentioned about the student who was able to be in the school play and the other cast members didn't know that they were a high schooler? Like, are there other stories you can think of that would demonstrate to families like what's the value of kids getting this immersion experience?
So there's many. Understand my position that I'm more on the peripheral of things, not necessarily always in the classroom. But I will tell you a little story. So we were celebrating. There was a function at Texas A&M San Antonio, and we were attending a Hispanic month, and there was a student that was there that actually had assisted with the planning of this whole event, where we took influential people that are of Hispanic heritage and talked about those as role models moving forward. So unbeknownst to me at the time, there was this one young lady and a gentleman as well, young gentleman. And they were part of this program, very articulate, and it seemed that they were very interested in what they were doing. So as the event concluded, my principal at the time, Mr. Flores, who you're very familiar, kind of nudged me and said, do you recognize those students? And it was only then that I started kind of mentioning it's like, oh yeah, I do. I tell you that because we did approach the students, and of course they remembered us, and it was great to hear that they were graduating with one was graduating with their, I believe, biology degree, moving on to pre-med, and the other one with a business background after 2 years because they attended our school. So minimal debt, if any, but then just the sheer drive that they were doing something that drove them and their passion and part of who they are. And never forgot that. That to me is powerful because at our school, you're not only getting an education, we are redefining and trying to figure out what and who you are, come as you are, and we basically polish that gem. And that to me really spoke volumes, because as educators, as you know, sometimes you don't get to see that firsthand, that transformation. So while both of those students, actually, one had been with us from kindergarten, and then the other one had been with us since second grade. And it just gave me chills. So for us to be basically doing the same thing at San Antonio College is very, very powerful. So that story resonated with me. I came home. I told my family. I told our district office that everything that they do to support those students is coming to fruition. Which, if I may, you give me the latitude, going back to the Imelda Davis, I just want to say a little something. I know we're running out of time, but I want people to know where the name came from. So Imelda Davis was a community leader, an advocate for education, a proud San Antonian, a mother, and someone that I called a friend. She was a proud graduate from Our Lady of the Lake University. She served as the vice president of finance for the Greater San Antonio Chamber of Commerce until she succumbed her battle with cancer in 2019. She was a champion of early college education. She served on our board. In fact, she was our treasurer of our board. And all her children attended the Franco Madla Early College High School. So we believe that we wanted to honor her and her service to our community, to the city, by providing her name as we kind of carry on forward her legacy in providing an early college experience to our students. So I thought that was relevant of who we are, not only as an organization, but the type of character that we have.
Yeah. Who do you want to honor? And I remember at the kickoff event at San Antonio College that there were friends and family, folks who had known Imelda Davis well and really spoke for her. And yeah, I'm happy that her name is associated with something that's going to be so constructive and so helpful to students. Okay, so we should probably, just to make good use of our time, like talk about how families can get more information about New Frontier. So I guess for the Imelda Davis Early College High School, if their kids are in 8th grade now, right, that would be the ideal time for them to be getting ready for 9th grade for next year, right?
Yes, but let me remind everybody that we are also taking requests of information, because we are positioning ourselves to also reinvent the middle school, and we will be taking applications for 6th through 10th grade. So how do you do that? Again, we're accepting letters of interest from students and families. Of course, that you'd like more information on our partnership, maybe the school model, and of course, how to apply. So families that are interested should go and visit www.newfrontierspublicschools.org for more information, or you can certainly go on Facebook at NF Public Schools, or you can simply call 210-519-3900 for more information.
I'm going to plug the blog as well. So in the description of the video, that takes you to the brand new enrollment guide blog post that we debuted today. So it's today's top post, but if you search in the article, search for New Frontiers, or search for Imelda Davis, or search for Franco Madla, that article will pop up, or search for Early College High School. You'll find out what the options are. And in that blog post, it's got links to the interest list and how to apply, the social media accounts for the schools, and things like that. So I hope that's why we're trying to give an assist to make sure that the broader community knows about these great options, because I think you and Dr. Vela really made the case for, like, this is a really important way to accelerate, kids getting into a college environment, earning college credit debt-free, getting exposure to lots of different kinds of people, trying lots of different types of classes, building up that confidence in themselves that, like, hey, I'm going to college. And then it launches them on their way. So, they already have credits towards, whether it's a nursing program or, biology or business, like the 2 alumni that you mentioned, and that they're just that much closer to, completing their college education and making great careers and becoming leaders in San Antonio.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a
Yeah.
joy. Thank you for always having us out here. I know it's been a while. I know Mr. Flores and Mr. Zechariah are always out here with you, but always look forward to the opportunity to talk about our school and new adventures.
Well, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to continuing to work with New Frontiers, because you guys have lots of great programs to share about.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate
All right.
that.
Take care. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.